want to be. So with that, let me say that the reality of the world is completely different right now. I mean, earlier, when we were supposed to hire somebody, we used to hire anybody just to meet them face-to-face, or we have somebody who's going to do that hiring for us, like some of the people that we start companies outside the places where we are. We probably go and make sure we have somebody who's going to meet the people that we are going to hire, and that's how we used to do our business earlier. Now, everything has changed now. The pace of digitalization continues to accelerate than ever before. More and more of us are dealing with people whom we probably will never meet in our life. For instance, I've been using some groups in Armenia for the last 2003 when I started, 16 years. You know how many times I visited Armenia? 0. Never went there till today. And I always have teams working there. More and more of us are dealing with people who we probably never meet in our lives. You know, then a good percentage of people, a 20% of the human population, doesn't even have the right kind of identity. And that's not a simple problem, by the way. You know, you have farmers in some places like South Africa, they do not have right identity. You know, 2 weeks ago I saw a program on CBS 60 Minutes where during Chinese one kid a family goal, if a lady happens to be pregnant with a second lady, but baby was born without any identity because they never claimed that. So you have problems like that that's coming in where even the government benefits that we have right now, you know, they are all related to giving people, that people who receive those benefits don't have identities. The reality of the world is, like I think Taha touched upon this one, as well as Phil touched upon this one, we don't own we don't control our identity, nor we control our personal data. You know, our personal data is mined by various people, they grab our data, and then they do the business of brokering the data to prove who we are. We don't have, there is somebody else, like Credit Bureau or somebody else, who prove that who we are, unfortunately, and they make money out of that. Both the extent and creativity of the fraud and fraudsters is an unprecedented scale right now. Earlier, the scale doesn't used to be, you know, as the physical economy is transforming into digital economy, there is a great deal of transition that happens. Why that's happening? When the digital economy was small, fraudsters were not getting much out of it. Now, the scale is very, very big. Right now, if you see number of retail stores that are closing, it's astronomical. The digital economy, online economy, is what we have right now. You know, earlier, when we want to buy something, we have to go touch and feel. Nowadays, we don't. We pay for convenience. We pay more money for convenience, and we really don't go to real store to buy stuff. In essence, when you do more and more business online in the digital economy, the scope for the fraud and fraudsters is actually at a different scale right now. And then you have the government schemes and government benefits. And these benefits are also at a very astronomical scale. Just in our United States, after this trade thing started, we have to pump close to tens of billions of dollars to support the farmers because of whatever that's happening. So again, that goes back to government funds and the government, benefits. Whenever we have these things, the numbers are very big and fraud is very big. Actually, 5 months ago, when I started working with Sunya on this particular project, UN, United Nations, approached Amazon, the guy who was running the roundup services, and then they basically said, whenever there is a disaster area, when we disperse the consignments, we don't know where the consignments are. And we also don't know if they are getting received by the right kind of people, or it's being, distributed to somebody, or it's being sold in a black market. When you have this kind of problems, you are basically getting into things. Anything that you touch in the real world is boiling down to having the right kind of identity for a human being, and for the human is ability to assert his identity. It's not like there are no solutions for all these things. There are a lot of solutions there. But each of those solutions are basically being brought up in a non-standard, in a silo basis. For every one of them I mentioned today, there are solutions. Like a few months ago, I was watching a program in 48 hours in the United States. One guy claims himself to be a Harvard MBA, goes and gets a job in Canada. And he claims he's a Harvard MBA, gets a job as senior vice president. It takes about $400,000 salary. A year later, he actually did not produce anything. When they came back and checked after a year, the guy never went to Harvard. Then they had to fire him. So again, he went and tried something. There is no real way to check that online. It's not like people can hire an army of HR people who will make phone calls to which university Ramesh went to, which 6 companies that Ramesh worked for. It's just not practical. So the solutions that are out there are completely point focused. It's completely about how do we pass to what I want. And I also read. I think from Phil's paper or something like that, there were in 2016, I think, there were close to 45,000 genuine PhD students in the United States, and there were about 50,000 fake certificates that were issued for PhD for about $300 million. So when somebody can print a document saying that, yes, this is legitimate, how do you check that? These are the problems that we have right now. And unlike earlier days, the line between physical world and digital world is pretty much disappeared. The only problem, good thing with the physical world is, if there is going to be some kind of problem, we kind of sense that and walk away. In the digital world, it's simply not possible. We only know it after everything happened. So we are one human. I am one human, but I have different identities. One identity that is issued by my university in form of what I do there. I have a driver's license as an identity. I have passport, and I have a couple of homes in Silicon Valley. I have a couple of homes in India. Me and my metadata, so-called metadata, or what we want to say as my data. It is then spread all over the place. So each day, when I'm actually trying to transact, there are certain things that I go every time I have to say early in the morning. If I walk into my office, I have to say, Mr. Kesanu팔li. And if I go to a hotel and if I eat something, I have to give my credit card. Again, say, Mr. Kesanu팔li. There are things where we use our identity for multiple ways, in multiple time period. There are things that we do daily, like logging into accounts, buying something, walking into an office, etc., etc. There are things that we do weekly, monthly, yearly, and very frequently, like buying a car, selling a car, buying an apartment, selling an apartment. All these things need identities. And those identities, what I was mentioning earlier, it is one me, and I have different identities that I have that are issued to me based on who I am and what I am. And then I have a whole bunch of relations on the other side. To establish the services that I receive, the service providers on the left-hand side, when I talk to them, based on what I'm doing, there is a different context to it. Like Phil was, the presentation was touching about, the identity metadata. And then you have context-based metadata. Based on who we talk to, we all do different things. How did we get here? Oops. How do I change this to? Okay, thank you. The current identity systems that are out there, that some of them are centralized. Now there is a movement going on to decentralized identity, and there is no ownership on the data for us, no control over the data. There is severe lack of interoperability. Like the picture that Phil's presentation showed. For Amazon, there are a bunch of people. For me, there are a bunch of different services that I use. Each one of them is different. When we see those things on a regular basis, it's extremely complex. How do you make sure, like in the physical world, I am one. When I go to my office, I use certain amount of data, a certain class of data. When I go to a movie theater, I use certain other class of data. So based on what I'm doing, I actually take context data. And right now, we also also spread our data indiscriminately and disclose a lot of data wherever we are. And over-disclosure of personal information. These are the problems that we are facing on a regular basis. Like I was mentioning, when somebody is trying to hire somebody, the HR usually calls a credit bureau like Equifax or LexisNexis or Experian or services like that. What is when they do the credit check, which university Ramesh went to? They never called my university and found out whether I went there or not. They never called 6 companies that I worked. I've been working in US for 30 years. They never called any of those companies to check if I really work for them or not. All they did is they looked at my, some of the data on the web that they put in the public domain, like go to LinkedIn, go to Facebook, and then mine the data, and that's what they claim. Most of the times, the data may not be accurate at the time. So like one of the pillars that Phil was mentioning earlier, whether it is issued correctly or it's still valid. Those things, no one knows. There's no real time to look of those things. Earlier, we had a centralized identity. Then we moved into federation identity, where we say you log on to one thing and they will connect to various services based on your initial log on. And if it happens to be some of the social network kind of a thing, then it's too risky if you want to use some critical services like financial institutions, that kind of stuff. Now we are moving to decentralized identity. So, what is the DID Alliance vision? In the physical world, as you can see, the kind of fraud a Macy's or a JCPenney or a Target they have in the physical world is very minimal, negligible compared to the kind of fraud they have it online. Why is that? In the physical world, when I walk into this office or I walk into this building, I always introduce myself as Ramesh Kesanu팔li. I don't introduce myself as Tahar or I don't introduce myself as Bilbini. The real world is working because there are certain principles that we go by. When I come here, I would like to assume that there is security and privacy that is given to me. Which is, when I come here, I want to assume nobody is going to rob me. In digital world, I can't assume that. And in the real world, people might ask me 100 questions. I will choose to answer only 10 of them. So privacy is built into that. In the same token, when I come here, when I say that I did something and you guys want to trust what I'm saying, at the same token, if I said something wrong in a statement, you want to go back and hold the accountable. Ramesh, why did you tell that to me last time when we met? So the physical world is actually working in a civil fashion, and we don't run into the problems that we run into in the digital world because the 4 legs of the table, security and privacy, is balanced by the trust and accountability. If you really want to make the digital world as close to real world to reduce the fraud, you got to make sure, while security and privacy and anonymity are very, very important to make sure that we protect those principles, trust and accountability are equally important. This is the Alliance vision. What is the mission? What we want to do is, like I was mentioning earlier, there is one Ramesh Kesanu팔li. And Ramesh Kesanu팔li has a university diploma in India. He worked for 6 companies in the United States. He has a couple of cars, a couple of homes, and these are the things that he has. How do you make sure the one human with different identities on one side and different relationships on the other side, how do we make sure that we connect all these things together in a framework that makes my life a lot easier? Today, if any one of you ask me, get me your university diploma, I don't know where it is. Just like the fraud certificate that I mentioned a few minutes ago, I can pick myself as a Stanford graduate and give it to you. I'm sure you probably won't be able to go and then verify the authenticity of that. So we need to make sure we build a global network, a framework for the digitalization. And then make sure we lower the threshold of the usability. The people who want to move to this ecosystem, they should be able to move to the ecosystem very, very easily without actually trying to understand too much and also trying to change a lot of infrastructure. It should be simple for the user to manage it. He doesn't have to deal with too many places going and then going through his process of registration, etc., he needs to claim himself one identity. One identity means one human identity that can be related to multiple identities that he gets to. And then, most importantly, I cannot stress this enough. Make sure when you are doing it now, doing it correctly. Include the people that do not have an identity, real identity, and the people who do not have a smartphone, the people who cannot, technically interact with these things. Make sure all of them are included in this thing. I think Katie was mentioning about having a physical piece of God or something, a digital identity can be given. Make sure we actually fix this problem correctly this time when we are doing. All the technology that's available is already there. The companies like foundations like Sovereign actually have gone very far in taking this to a framework where this can actually be used in the real world in a big way, in a scalable way. Make sure we cover all those people. So when you see again, yes, go back to the picture. One more. No, up. Yeah. So to achieve what I've been saying, that how do you get the digital online world as close to the real world? Like I was mentioning, when I came here, I introduced myself as Ramesh. And I say that I went to this university, worked for these 6 companies. You want to trust me, but you want to verify. Trust but verify. How do you achieve this? If you really want to achieve this, you really want to take one step back, not come up with solutions that are based on what you had yesterday. You have to sometimes get out of the box and start thinking from 30,000 feet level. And when I talked about either somebody claiming himself to be a Harvard graduate, or when I talked about the UN wanting to fix the problem with the supply chain of the disaster and stuff, or when I talk about university diplomas, when I connect all these things, the core problem is about, again, like I was mentioning, is your identity and your data. If you can actually tie these things together in the digital world, then you will solve the problem. How do you do that? We need something like a ICANN of human identity. ICANN, like I'm sure most of you know what ICANN is. You have ICANN, which will actually make sure there is integrity to the web domains that are registered, and somebody wants to grab one. And then you have domain name registrars, like Verisite and GoDaddy server. We need to have something like that. Every human being should have a way that he asserts himself. When he tries to come onto the ecosystem, he should be allowed to. I should not be allowed to create an account like Tahar al-Gamal or Phil Mindley or Sunya. I should not be allowed. Today, I can do that. Unless you bring the people, last 25 years, like Tahar was mentioning, we did things that we needed to do to make sure the internet can be adopted by everybody. In that mission, we wrapped ourselves around the user accounts rather than user identity. That was something that we started, just like in the firewall line said before the firewall line. Everything was surrounded around password. In this space, in the internet usage service provider side access is completely tied to user account, not the user identity. So if you see, what we need is a global association for digital identity. Phil touched upon this one slightly earlier when he was speaking. We need the governance principles about when a user comes onto this ecosystem, he should be allowed to create a unique address for himself. Just like I have a physical address where anything that you want to send, you can mail it to me. You should be able to just send a pointer to my digital address that points to the metadata that you want to shoot to me. Make sure the way you create that is you take 4 or 5 attributes of the user that can be obtained from a first name, last name, date of birth, a few other things with the date of birth. and use some of the locations like a DMV office, or a passport office, or a medical center, or a university, or your employment. Any of these touch points where you are issued some kind of identity, use that as a tapping point to actually bring the user onto the ecosystem. If you see the dotted line boxes, that's where most of the work we have mentioned earlier is being worked right now. Whether it is in WPC group, or verifiable crimes in the internet, or the AI Foundation, the middle layer, how do you actually create an ecosystem where different DIDs can work together? That great work is being done. I don't want to touch that. DID Alliance is not focused on that. DID Alliance is focused on making sure when the user is being brought onto this ecosystem, he is brought on with the right identity, the right way. Even after the life cycle of the phone that is using there, if he needs to move to a different phone, all he needs to do is follow the exact same steps of how he actually can create the identity, and immediately all these things, all his personal metadata will be back to him without any problem. The middle lane that you see is you and your identity, or you and your address. On the left-hand side, the issuer banks, the other things that you're seeing here, are the things that are issued to you, the things that you bought. On the other side, you have all the service providers. If any service provider you want to go access get a service, based on which service you're using, the service provider will ask you, this is what I want. You simply take that piece of data from your right-hand side and assert yourself. You don't really have to send in the complete data. It is a bunch of yes or no kind of answer. And if you go to a liquor store and want to buy something, all they need to know is if you're above 18 or below 18. They don't need to know your first and last name, anything else. So this is what I think we needed, and for that we really are, putting whatever patents we have created into the DID Alliance. 5 years from now, what I want to see is any place you go to, whether you bought an apartment, you bought a car, or you went to a university, or you went to a medical center, wherever you go, after the transaction is done, when you give your physical address, where this thing gets sent to, you simply say, here is my digital address, and an electronic copy or a pointer, cryptographic pointer, for the metadata gets delivered to your address. You easily connect all those things together. From user standpoint, he only has to register himself, get onto the ecosystem just once, following the guiding ecosystem And just like in Fiber Alliance, we will have the interoperability and the certification process. When the people go through certification process, every issuer just needs to worry about how does he create a digital address and publish the digital address. And from user standpoint, he only has to deal with one wallet. Other wallets can also be there, but they need interoperability within those wallets. And each time when the user has to assert, he will assert on the home data. So this ecosystem, will actually bring a global connectivity where my identity is with my digital address provider, but my university that I went to in India can deliver my diploma to this digital address. All my 6 employments that I have done in the last 30 years in the United States gets pointed here. In one location, I have full control on what I have. So this is what we were trying to do. We are working with Phil Bibley at Sovereign, we are working with Instrument at City. We are bringing an ecosystem where we all collectively work together to define this global framework, where the framework will define the ICANN of human identities, where you bring trust and accountability. We will maintain all security privacy that is needed, and the great work that's being done right now. But should there be a problem, we want to make sure there is trust and accountability in the ecosystem. We had our kickoff call for the United States for the Global DID Alliance. These are some of the people that have participated in the ecosystem, and we are really, talking to more and more people right now. And I'm very encouraged with the kind of interest that we got from Korea. And there are a lot of benefits here. It's an open ecosystem. It connects all the platforms that are out there, and it provides a very easy way for users to actually have one location where they can consolidate various identities that they have at various locations and be able to recover them when there is a problem. And based on the context that they are using, that dealing, that accessing the services, based on that, you only allow the context-based information depending on what you're trying to do. And it gives a lot of power, it gives the global connectivity, and you're actually using blockchain for data connectivity of the user. It's completely standards-based. So there are international founding members that we have, and primarily, USS San Jose is there. We are starting this one, and we have a lot of people that have already signed up for this one. And call to action is, this is a global ecosystem. I strongly believe this is not something that one company, one platform, one community, one country can solve. The entire industry has to come together. It is a global problem that needs to be solved. And like Dara was mentioning earlier, we won't know what problems that we're going to face. But if we can maintain the trust and accountability on the digital ecosystem, then should there be a problem, we know exactly who created that account that's causing the problem. This is an extremely open ecosystem. It should be part and parcel of the fabric that comes from the internet. Just like you have the ICANN and then domain name registries, there will be a GADI, that's an ICANN of human identities, that talks to various digital address providers who will actually let every user be able to consolidate different identities that they have and then provide a way, very easy way to assert themselves in the context that they want to release based on which service that you are trying to do. This is as close to you can get to the physical world that you can simulate on the digital world. And like I mentioned, this is something that all of us have to come together. Please come and join, give your various use cases that you guys have. Let's make it happen. Thank you.
발표 감사.